Hello and welcome to the fourth and final episode of this year's Great Guitar Build-Off. So this is video number 4. Video number 3 will come after, because as with everything else, it didn't actually go according to plan. So in that, I'm now routing the middle pickup cavity and now realizing I haven't secured the workpiece. The problem started with me cocking up the bridge route. When episode 3 comes, you will see what happened. But that was essentially the beginning of the end. So way too many mistakes and way too many tried to fix it. It's my first time using this wood, and it's probably the last time I'm using this wood. I really did not like. It's viewed as a replacement for ash. I very much doubt that. It's splintery. It's reminiscent of balsa wood. I've had to do many super glue and sawdust fill-ups on particularly the sides, not only because of the wood but because of my inability of knowing which way to take a router. I will complete this guitar eventually, but it will not be for the competition. At this point I am leveling off the wrong pickup cavity that I started making to encompass all of the pickup cavities, but I didn't want to take the bridge bit further down because it had already been routed from the back as well, so that would have made it very thin behind the tremolo. I could have tried to fill up, but that's not what I wanted. The process of carving the top is usually quite nice. You take your time. With this wood I didn't find that to be exactly that. It's very inconsistent in feel from one piece of the wood to another piece of the wood. And it does tear just like balsa wood would at time. It is incredibly light though. I will be using 4 knobs and one 5-way switch for this. I will have a master tone a master volume, a blend control that blends either the bridge or the neck pickup to whatever selected, and a blend that will blend the middle pickup in series in positions 1 and 5 to give you a 2P90 size humbucker. For me, it's more an exercise on what can be done, because I find that at one point when guitars have too many tonal options, it can get a bit too much, and you spend more time choosing a sound than playing. And I reached that conclusion with the first guitar that I assembled from Warmoth parts. It was 2 humbuckers, and I put just a 3-way switch, but I had one mini toggle switch for each pickup that would select between series, parallel and split, and it just gave me too many options. I ended up replacing it with a 5-way switch with some fancy switching. Fancy, there used to be the Paul Smith custom switching back in the day with the rotary knobs. I mean the rotary switch. Here I am studying the layout for I might want to do with the control layout. Just want to have some space to put my finger between the knobs. It's a fairly small guitar body. I mean, smaller than a Strat. You could probably compare it to the side of the Fender Prodigy, if you remember those. That Wilkinson bridge, together with the Wilkinson tuners that I've got, it's a. I was surprised for the price that I paid for it. It cost me less than £60 for bridge and tuners, and quality is superb. That Veritas speed, whatever it's called, doing to mock up the position of the switch. In this image you can see that I've routed the spring cavity too shallow. It'll be correct in the next scene, but I've done that off camera. That's me demonstrating how easy it is to cut that wood with a Swiss Army knife. So it doesn't bode well for any dings and scratches on, even with the hardest finish that you can put. So I will finish this guitar. I have several other in mind. but not sure I'll be filming the process. Now see here, the spring cavity is a lot deeper already, and I almost screwed up there. The wood just splinters so much. I would have had to use a brad tipped drill bit. I've noticed later, maybe a bit too late, that a normal wood drill bit would drill well if you're going in reverse. It will still drill. You can see the black marks on the right hand side on the tummy cut. That was black super glue to fill gaps. The back is going to be black anyway. The top is going to be crimson burst. So the crimson colored crimson stunning stains on the top. I'll keep it black in that central part because I had to repair a bit of it again as well. And I'll make a kind of crimson burst, and then have the back and sides just black. I'm not even going to fuff about with it at this point. Original plan was to stain black the back and the sides, but it wouldn't do the part now, not with so many cock-ups. Yet another cock-up. So thinning down the headstock, because the neck was thicker than normal. Thinning down the headstock, it was alright at this point, but then to get some support I made it taper unwillingly and still made it too thin. So I had to grab a piece of that was originally a veneer of rosy maple that I had lying about and make a strip at the back. I'm gonna call it a feature, but it's just ugly and it's not what I wanted. If I had a maple veneer just big enough, I'll probably glue it back on and just make it thicker that way. So I'm adding the detail, that little detail that matches the body and tries to make it different from a Fender headstock. Ends up looking a bit like a G&L headstock. You can't win. The noise of my TV you can hear. It's either gonna be Midsummer Murders or Poirot. As usual. Oh, it could be Murder She Wrote as well. That's on always on the weekend. So I managed to rough out the scroll. And I've just taken the bulk off. There'll be a lot of hand carving and finessing. Hey, I'm putting some cards of whatever to make some height, just a couple of millimeters higher on the nut end as opposed to the heel end. And I've marked the thickness at the first thread. And just go from there. So I'm flattening it now. I'll zigzag it. If I had one of those Stumac safe T-planes, that's what I would use, because it's a lot wider and safer. And I finally got some dust extraction. Even though I don't think I connected it here. So I've done a couple of passes already at the nut end. I only just now started to carve the heel area as well, which is marked with that double line there. Carving a neck is quite a pleasant experience if you have the final thickness already defined. But again, not to be done in a rush. Take your time. Yep, I don't have any dust extraction connected this time. I think I might need the new router bit as well. It was leaving a lot of black marks. I think it's a bit dull. It is the cheapest I could find. Nothing wrong with that. I abused it so much on the first guitar. I made bits of furniture with it as well after that. Rough cutting, I give it about 2 2-3 millimeters each side. It's amazing what this saw can do compared to the one I used on the other guitar. So this is a Japanese style saw that I bought from Lidl. Well, the other one was from Tesco, and this is way better. And I managed not to cut myself as well with this. Love this little trick of mine. Don't know who came up with it. I don't think it was me. So I have the nut cut as the same thickness as the frets. So I just put some filler gauges there to try and to fill the gap basically. Super glue. Piece of aluminium with masking tape on the underside. Butt up against that thingy, the filler gauges. Now I got my tusk nut. Which is not exactly the one I wanted, but they didn't have the one I wanted. I wanted a slightly larger one. I wanted to make a 44 mil wide not good old Dremel. I should have put a layer of masking tape on the side of that aluminium piece as well. It would give me the clearance and I wouldn't have had to be sanding it, coming up with tricks to sand it like masking tape, super glue, sandpaper on a scraper. I made it rhyme. Sandpaper on a scraper. I'll get there, I promise. Yeah, kinda happy. That's almost there. Notice I'm on my pajamas. Oh, not anymore. I did try to chamfer the sides of the fretboard with the planer, just slightly, but it's always take too much. I just thought, nah, I'll have the extra work. I'll put some 60 grit sandpaper on a Stumac, whatchamacallit, 12-inch radius. In the meantime, I managed to find one that's a 14-inch radius. You don't see very often, but Steinbergers have it, and I need a refret on my Steinberger. I need many new things on my Steinberger. My friendly fox came to visit one day. And the dreaded glue up. Some old silicone I had at home. It's probably past the sell-by date, but no one's gonna see. It didn't rattle in the end. That's all I wanted. So usually the spoke nut on these type of truss rod adjustments is recessed in the neck. I chose not to do that. I have several knives, with Swiss Army knife is always a hand. I don't know why I put that piece of tape there. I thought I knew. I should have put a bit more glue, even more than what I'm putting now. I wanted to have a lot more squeeze out than I did. Oh, that's why I put the piece of paper in, but then I realized that's a bad place to have the piece of paper. It should have been on the other side. As in on my right. And hurry up. I put some kitchen towels and masking tape to make kind of protection for, because those spool clamps are not the highest grade. They're very, very homemade. I use the smallest hole saw from the hole saw kit that comes from IKEA. And it was a dusty mess to make those. So I don't have enough for all the spool clamps that I need. I'll probably do it again using a dowel of some sort that I can just cut and make a hole in the middle. It's a lot easier than taking a hole saw to plywood. Plywood found on a skip. So they're the same clamps I used to glue the top to the back on my previous guitar. You can check out the videos if you feel like it. It was a different project for me. It was at the time I was furloughed. I was at home 24 hours every day. While this one was done a few evenings if I felt like it, if it wasn't going to be too dusty, and weekends. But then sometimes you just don't feel like it, and I probably didn't feel like it for over a month. Hence I ran out of time. So it's my fault. I'm not blaming anyone else for this. I do blame that wood. I will not use Paulownia again. Fun fact, a lace sensor pickup was first tested on a balsa wood guitar. Okay, maybe not fun. Interesting, I hope. And that is as many spool clamps as I can fit. Honestly, I would have liked to see a lot more glue squeezed out of that, but at the same time, the more glue squeezes out of that, the more glue is going into the truss rod. You see at the end on the headstock the strip of roasted maple that I glued there to give the thickness that I needed. It was either that or adding several O-rings to the tuners, to the bushings. And that'll be even worse, I think. So this is a general idea of what a guitar will look like. Imagine that crimson burst has a detail, rough detail of the scroll on the headstock. That's the shallow 5-way switch that I installed. That's hard work. This will give you an idea. Well, these are the control plates, and that's my friendly fox on a different occasion. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Maybe another guitar, maybe the same.